For years, the Republican Party has struggled to court younger voters, a fact which quite clearly manifested itself in the most recent election cycles and contributed to numerous high-profile GOP defeats. But apparently they, and the Fox propaganda network and the right wing in general, have decided that the best way to address that critical weakness is to attack, with increasing loudness and frequency, Taylor Swift, a pop culture juggernaut who is beloved by both millennials and Gen Z, because President Biden is reportedly courting her endorsement, which she has not given yet. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert buttons before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have several clips to look at in this video. For those of you who follow the channel, the basis for this story is nothing new because really since 2018, but especially since 2020, conservatives have been criticizing and have been fearful of Taylor Swift because she was previously apolitical in her career, but in 2018, she made her position known. She made it even better known and more forcefully known in 2020, and they're terrified she's going to do it again. The thing that's changed is the loudness and the frequency with which the right wing is attacking Taylor Swift. This compilation I'm about to show you is just from like the past 72 hours, and it's all from Fox News. Brace yourselves because it's intense and weird.
We have had enough of Taylor Swift for now.
She shouldn't be liberal. She should be a total conservative, given everything.
The Pentagon PSYOP unit pitched NATO on turning Taylor Swift into an asset.
Yesterday, she flew private from New York City to Baltimore. Yet she constantly talks about climate change. So just please don't believe everything Taylor Swift says. We're all begging you.
I think she should just stick to her singing and let her love life be what it is.
The New York Times just speculated she's a lesbian.
A new poll shows 18% of voters are likely to vote for whichever candidate Taylor Swift endorses. Uh-oh.
Biden effectively has Taylor Swift as his VP.
A single post of hers led to 35,000 new registrants. That's arguably more power than the president.
She's sharing links. And her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, sponsored by Pfizer.
What's her stance on policy, economic policy, foreign policy?
I don't think that'll be.
So don't get involved. Don't get involved in politics. We don't want to see you there.
Yeah, so I understand why Judge Jeanine Pirro slurred her way through that sentence, right? Of course she doesn't want Taylor Swift to get involved because she knows how probabilistically Taylor Swift will involve herself if she chooses to do so, right? I want to play this quick clip just again to contextualize it. It's from a Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix, and I believe it's from 2018, in which she had a very candid conversation with members of her staff and her parents about why she felt she needed to get involved in political activism.
Other thing, just from a security standpoint, Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
Yeah. So the reason that they dread her was because she made it abundantly clear in the 2018 election. She was coming out against Republicans, particularly Marsha Blackburn, a Republican senator from Tennessee, which is Taylor Swift's home state. And then in 2020, she took the gloves off even more. She said in August 2020, Donald Trump's ineffective leadership gravely worsened the crisis, the pandemic that we're in, and now he's taking advantage of it to subvert and destroy our right to vote and vote safely. Request a ballot early, vote early. Again, pretty unambiguous about how she feels about Donald Trump and at least this iteration of the Republican Party. As a matter of fact, I think at a different point in that documentary, she said, Donald Trump's not your father's Republican, and this isn't your father's Republican Party, right? She's noting that the Republican Party, for whatever potential value that it had at one point, is it's become an authoritarian cult of personality, right? So all of these things she's drawing attention to. Jen Psaki from MSNBC has another short list of various progressive outreach and instances of activism from Taylor Swift, which again signals how she will vote and how she will probably signal others to vote as well.
But that aside, Swift has become a little bit more vocal since those midterms. I mean, she advocated for LGBTQ plus rights at the Video Music Awards in 2019. She endorsed Joe Biden for president in 2020. And in 2022, she posted some concerns about the impact of the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which was shared by millions of Americans. But it's not like she is some rabid Democratic activist.
Indeed, she's not. I mean, we'll come back to the the fact that she is not, even though she's clearly a Democrat in terms of how she votes and she clearly has progressive values, we'll come back to how she's kind of nonpartisan in her advocacy to vote. But again, what they really fear, this is the thing that Republicans fear the most. They know they have a loser on abortion. They know that every time abortion is on the ballot, even in deep red districts and states, they tend to lose. So they fear like a double punch, right, of Taylor Swift and pro-choice activism combined. That is indeed a formidable juggernaut. But to get back to Psaki's point, so I know she did it in 2018. I believe she did it in 2020, and I know she did it again in 2023. On voter registration day, Taylor Swift goes on social media and she regularly encourages her voters or her fans to vote. So this is from NPR. When Taylor Swift speaks, her fans listen. On Tuesday morning, this is from 2023, voter registration day, the singer posted a short message on Instagram encouraging her 272 million followers to register to vote. Afterward, the website she directed her fans to, the nonpartisan nonprofit vote.org, recorded more than 35,000 registrations, according to the organization, which apparently was a record. And I want to read you exactly what Swift said in the Instagram story. She said, and note what's missing here. She said, I've been so lucky to see so many of you guys at my U.S. shows recently. I've heard you raise your voices, and I know how powerful they are. Make sure you're ready to use them in our elections this year. And she included a link to register on vote.org. You know what was missing there, to Psaki's point? Any endorsement of any particular party or any particular candidate. She would have been well within her legal rights saying, go register to vote, vote Democrat, vote Joe Biden, vote for every Democrat in every potential election that you have. Do not vote for these damn Republicans. That would have been perfectly legal and perfectly reasonable. Celebrities do indeed have positions. She didn't even do that. She just tried to maximize eligible voter turnout. And that alone is enough to scare the hell out of the likes of Fox News and Charlie Kirk and other right-wing commentators. They're terrified of that because they know, or at least suspect, that in situations where eligible voter turnout is maximized, Republicans tend to lose because they're unpopular. Their ideas are unpopular. Their record is unpopular. They suck at governing. But I digress. I want to play this clip too because this is a Trump campaign national spokesperson talking to conservative commentator Benny Johnson. And again, I want you to note the words she uses and how she tries to, depict Taylor Swift.
Final thoughts. Do you think Taylor Swift's going to come out and endorse Joe? Do you think that this is all a big setup?
That's the word on the street. The Democrats are pushing for it. They're calling it their Hail Mary pass to drag Biden over the finish line. Here's the deal. I don't think people are going to take advice from someone who flies around on a private jet, has private security, when they're paying thousands of dollars more just to live. That might not be a lot of money for Taylor Swift. She may not feel the impact of Bidenomics, but millions of people across this country are.
I don't think people are going to take advice for a wealthy person with private security who flies on private planes. Didn't she just describe her boss? Isn't that Donald Trump? Wasn't that Donald Trump before he became president and was entitled to Secret Service protection? Why are all the trappings of exorbitant wealth acceptable for Donald Trump, but not for Taylor Swift? It goes back to that asymmetry where Trump is graded on a curve, right? And how they're trying to spin Trump as somebody who's not elite. He's just one of the guys. He's just one of those, like one of the guys, one of the regular Joe billionaires, real estate moguls from New York, ex-presidents. So strange. And yet it's very effective with millions of people, blue collar people. I grew up in red rural Kentucky, so I understand there are people who have never been near a billionaire, but look at this New York billionaire real estate mogul and think, wow, that guy's one of us. That is indeed, that's the real psyop. That is indeed the real, machination involved, how people are able to persuade others to believe that Donald Trump is just a regular Joe. So very bizarre. Rolling Stone put out this article today talking about how, meanwhile, as Trump has been having a popularity contest with Swift in his own head because he's jealous that she won the 2023 Time Person of the Year award, others close to him, including GOP operatives, some of his 2024 staff, and Trumpy media figures, have been brainstorming different ways to go after Swift. Since late last year, these Trump allies have repeatedly discussed how to turn the culture war dial up to 11 if she endorses Biden this year, sources recount. It would be more fuel thrown onto the culture war fires, says an official working on the Trump re-election efforts. Another left-wing celebrity who is part of the Democratic elite telling you what to think. Folks, they're terrified. They're terrified of Taylor Swift. The strange thing is, I don't know why they're doing this preemptively, because she has yet to endorse President Biden, and she may not, right? They assume like she's some sort of like celebrity activist like George Clooney, right? But that's not Taylor Swift. And you might have just created a self-fulfilling prophecy where you taunt and provoke and piss her off and her fans off, and that might actually cost you the election. I mean, you think about it. One post got 35,000 people to register to vote in 2023. To put that in perspective, during the presidential election of 2020, yes, President Biden won by more than 7 million popular votes. But as you know, it's the Electoral College which counts. That's what actually gets you the presidency. And if you look at the margin in the swing states that Biden won, it came down to about 44,000 votes. So one post from Taylor Swift on one day was enough to get her most like, 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to that margin of error. So imagine what she might do to the Republican Party with a sustained 8, 9, 10-month, year-long campaign of advocacy. This billionaire pop culture icon who, again, is beloved by the generations and by the cohorts that Republicans are impotently trying to court with no avail. I think this is a recipe for disaster. And with that in mind, I'm all for it. I encourage Republicans, keep running your mouth to Taylor Swift. I don't think it'll work out for you. I can't foresee a scenario in which this favors Republicans, although I should say I should adopt a level of humility, because somebody pointed out on Twitter that, sure, the left has Taylor Swift, but the right has its own celebrity. This is Scott Greer on Twitter. He says, to those who might say the right needs its own Taylor Swift for young women to look up to, I answer, we already have that. Her name is Lauren Boebert. They're doomed. Let me know what you think in the comments.